Hey folks, as always, please subscribe to this channel. Please click on notifications because what comes out is timely. And I'm going to limit to the most specific stocks for the day so we can get this done in 15 minutes so that it stays more actionable with the processing of YouTube. As always, feel free to message me on Twitter or even here with any questions you have about what I review. So I'm going to try and try to stay in alphabetical order, but I'm probably going to jump around a little bit. So I mentioned this today on fuel cell, and one of the key things that I saw here that I thought was really important was, let's put this up here. One of the key things I thought was very important was the movement off the open, right? So here's our open, and we're basically trying to gap up. And usually what this is called a screw bar to some extent because people panic and they can't get in it. So when you see this, sometimes you just have these gap fills that come back, right? You see how this bar comes back down here, fills where it once was, and then when it does that, it pushes higher. So let's look at that a little differently on a 15-minute for a minute so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So you gap up, right? Everybody thinks it's going to go. It goes, it hits a resistance point, rejects. I do think this keeps going, but let's just go through it. So we fill the gap here. We never come close to filling the gap again. And we talk about these patterns. This is a pretty textbook pattern, right? Where you have this double bottom come in here, and then here's a trigger, and and then you push to here, and then this is your stop. So you can see how you can enter some of these Momo trades at different prices using different qualifying triggers and different levels. All these levels and patterns work on a daily, monthly, weekly level, but the important thing is that know that the probability of success is predicated upon how long the time frame is. So the monthly has a better chance of working, but you have a greater range, all the way down to a minute, and just keep that in mind. So in regards to FUV, we talked about this last night, that this is a key level and we need to flip here. And that's exactly what we did. So, the open was the low and then we just ripped. So I felt like we're putting in a short-term top, and I said it earlier today. We're starting to, reverse that really quickly here. And, right now we have this double top that was just put in, and this is FUV. So you can kind of see where that double top's put in, right? As we turned around here, and you could see this channel. This channel's almost perfect. But, here's the upper end of this channel. So could we go here? Yeah, we could go to 36 today, 37. Just, as I said to people that are in from the newsletter pricing, and this was a very simple, one to even day trade today because you could buy it here and then your stop is a break of this line. But people that are in this from the 24 level, I think we're up 50% in 3-4 days. So, from the newsletter, I did suggest trimming today and watching what's going on here. It'd be nothing for us to come back down. We just went from 23, 24 to 34, 50% in 3 days. So just keep that in mind. I do like it. I do think 40 stays as the target in today's newsletter, but just keep that in mind. So laser, I just want to point out a couple things. So, people are congratulating me and everything else in regards to the newsletter and how great we're doing. And I'm just doing them like this because it looks a little cooler. There's a process here, and not every single one of these works. So you need to understand that. And, this is my process. This does not have to be your process. Everybody's different. Everybody trades differently, and you need to come up with something that works for you. So, this is a guideline. It's not look at it like you're reading a map, not like it is the be-all, end-all. So just keep that in mind. This is a buy price. I really should call it a buy area. And keep it like technically it's just a buy area. That's all it is. Doesn't mean you have to be at this price. That's not going to happen. It doesn't mean this has to be your stop, and it doesn't mean that it's getting here. No one has any idea where any stock is going. We're just all using probabilities to try to figure it out and create a system where we can make money. But let's get back to this. So here's laser, right? So this is where we buy it, and this is where it rejects, and this is where we blow it out. And I stated, keep this on your radar. And right now we're flatlining, and I want to point this part out. See how these moving averages are flatlining? Okay, this can go on for a long time when they start flatlining, and it just means that we are, trendless. I don't want to be in a trendless stock. When we were here, I thought we'd get some action, how they moved. So for me, this is a no-go. If I really wanted to be in it, I would get in it based upon a wedge break, and then a higher high, maybe through something over here, and this would be my ultimate stop below this. LOTZ, so I just want to show this. Someone may be in this. You are right against, at the time of this, you are right against major support, and we've already cracked it. So I don't know what the issue is here. I don't follow this one, but this is just nasty. And we opened below the 200. We're rolling. The 5 and the 8 are crossing the 50. The 21's pointing down. This is just nasty. I mean, I can't describe it any other way. Like, there's no reason, there's no support down here, there's no reason to be in this unless you know something fundamentally that the rest of us don't know. If you're in this, I would recommend just getting out, moving on with your life. This is not something that I'd want to participate in on any level. I mean, this exhaustion gap, or this exhaustion run, the reversal, it's clear selling. And I've been saying that about like some of these lower price stocks. You have to look at volume because these things are so easily manipulated by the big guys. So, and we just talked about this, NVIDIA. See this? See how we're just flatlining on these moving averages? That's exactly what's starting to transpire here, right? In laser. That's why I'm saying you need to be aware of that as a signal. Like, I'm trendless. Now we're bouncing around, and eventually this is going to pull a Netflix where, you based and then you just explode up. The question is when. You could have thought it happened here, November, December, January. Now we're in February. So you could have been waiting for this break for 4 months, and it's just dead money. So that's why, you have to trade the ones that are in a trend. This is not. This is just basing, and let it base. It's been basing since August. Let it base. It will give us an opportunity. It will curl up, and we can make money off of it. Now, if I wanted to trade this, for the person that asked, I would trade it if I could get it down close to the 511 and use 501 as a stop. I would not be a buyer up here right now into this. Not until I have something fundamentally that changes or technically in this chart. So I would just wait and buy it on pullbacks. But I'm not a pullback buyer. But that's how I would play it. So let's open. I'm just going to do this again because I think it looks cooler. So let's just keep going. So you can see what happened today. We came down. The low of the day was the 5, right? We talked about this as a break here for the gentleman that likes this one. And it did well, and then we failed, and now we're going to do it again. I have to tell you that based upon this action, how these are getting higher, right? These lows are getting higher. Hopefully you can see that. Let's move one of these arrows up here. So these lows are getting higher. And here now, what's happening, right? Bonk, bonk, bonk. So you're forming a wedge here, right? And this peak got higher. So this is changing. This channel is changing. These moving averages are pointing up. See how they're up versus the other one we just looked at? So what does that mean to us? Well, that means that this is something that we may want to become involved in now. It's starting to change a little bit. So when would we become involved? I've got 3 green bars in a row, which lets me know that the volumes, or that the price change is happening. And look, I'm starting to get back over an increasing volume. And look where I'm at today. And I'm only at 11:48 at the time that this is done. So how would I look at this? 29.48. A close above there. And we could see why, right? We've only closed there once really strongly. Here we closed right on it and we just broke the next day. So I'd like a close above this level, and then this 27 level would be my stop, which gives me a pretty big risk. And then here, I only have 3 points upside. So I might avoid this until the risk reward is better. And I'm going to do a whole video on risk versus reward and percentages. You only need 4th grade math, but at least if you have some of these little simple equations by you, it allows you to look at them and understand how this works a little bit better. So you can create a process for yourself. But I may wait until this breaks 32.40. I mean, I don't need these $3. I want the 20. I want the FUV move, you know, I want that kind of move. I want the FUBU move from $32. So I don't need to be there for every dollar. So I might wait on this till it breaks 32.40 right now. Pins, of course, it breaks out after we get stopped out in the newsletter, and it's just part of the process. So we got in this at 64. We got stopped out when it broke this. That's okay. You know, this we hit here and we reduced our exposure to stocks because we weren't sure what was going on, and that's fine. Just on to the next one. What's going on here now? A clear classic breakout, a retest of that level, and we open here, and we're here right now. What does that tell us? Nothing. Nothing's really changed here. So as long as I'm holding this 75.44, I'm okay. Now, Snap comes out with earnings tonight, and that could move the stock. You know, you have to go from there. Last time Snap's earnings were absolutely phenomenal. That doesn't, even if they're phenomenal, gives us no indication of what's going to happen here. I'm a little high off of this in the past 5 or 6 days. So am I chasing this here? No. I'm letting this come back down, maybe consolidate more. This is not a breakout stock. It's clearly not. It broke out here, it fell back. It broke out here, it fell back. It's going to break out here. It's probably going to fall back down, right? It's more of a pullback stock if you take a look at it. And we're just forming this huge channel, so, or base rather. So just, that's how I would play this right now. I would just wait for more confirmation. So plug we talked about, and one of the things I really liked about this was these levels. So we said the 66.07 level was minor support and our trigger or pivot, and we did that the other day. We talked about this little wedge. It's on the Twitter feed if you want to search it. And you can see it's doing exactly what we need it to do. Now, this would be great. And now you're forming this W, right? You see this, how we're forming this W? And, you know, this looked like a little sell signal, but now we're reversing back up. So, you know, these buys and sell signals, they're not always perfect. But look at what's going on here. You see this W pattern? This is a very powerful pattern. And not only do we create a base with it, but it gives us the ability to push higher. So I like this, and I would use 66.07 as my stop. Qualcomm, you know, just to point some things out here, Qualcomm is one of those stocks that when it breaks out, it truly breaks out. And frankly, I've been trading this one since like the 90s, so that kind of dates myself. But this is really important. This is a monthly. See this 99.63 level? Look how it broke here, right? And since it broke here, what happened? And where we went to? You have 50% off that break versus being in it this entire time for 20 years. So technical analysis works, and it makes sure that your money works a little faster for you. On the weekly, we're pulling back. I don't really like this action, but let's get to the daily, which is more actionable. So right now, you just open below your 50-day. And we have all these starting to point down. And the open and the close, I'm not rallying, I'm seeing selling. So that means that we're probably going to test this, you know, for 143.39 level. And if we break that level, we're going to 132. So I would wait on that. I wouldn't do anything now. Snap, I mentioned this 2 days ago, that we were right above this upper trend line, and that concerned me going into earnings, and that you back. So what could flip this to a new trend and a new channel? Earnings. What's happening tonight? Earnings. But you're rolling the dice, right? If you're in here and you're hoping on earnings, you're rolling the dice, you're gambling. That's not a process. You need a process. You know, your process could have been buying on this line or waiting for this wedge to break, which it did, and then being in it so that you have a cushion. You have no cushion if you're buying this up here. So wait for earnings. So today, I mentioned this on Twitter that this is breaking out and something that needs to be looked at. And now we are open and low below that, and we've crossed back through this. So let's drill down into this because this is not broken. And this is going to go over 15 minutes. Sorry. but it is. I just really want to get to this. So this is my range on the day: 63, 62, 80, 54. I mean, I almost have a 9-point range, 8.5-point range on a $50 stock. It's insane, but this is what happens when they're heavily shorted. But I just want you to take a look at what's really transpiring here. We have not broken this low of the day. Now, if you break this low of the day, you might see increased selling because the bears will feel that they're in control. But look at how this volume's drying up and how it's gone away, right? That usually means we're going to see some kind of move violently one way or another. When it gets this low, it usually means something's coming. The sellers are done. The buyers are just watching. So this signifies that this is a decent price. But you can see we're still in the range. Nothing's really changed. So I'm kind of expecting this to possibly challenge the high a day. And, I had a trade in it. I'm out of it. I did okay with it. But I didn't make as much as I thought. It just reversed on me. But when you look at these and you look at the range that we're seeing, just look at this little wedge that's here and how we're possibly coming back down here to retest one more time before we push higher. So try to get an understanding of these. I hope that was clear. Tiger. So we've been in this for 3 days now, and let's just talk about this. So when we got in this, and what was really important about this is our first entry into this, we got stopped out. We bought it at 17, we got stopped out at 16. And we broke here, and I think that was it. We got stopped out. Well, the pattern didn't change, right? So as soon as the pattern changed, we got back into it. And I said this the other day. I have a friend that trades nothing but commodities. He's extremely successful. He entered a coffee trade 17 times. The 17th time was the time it worked, and he did extremely well with it. So it's about the process and your patterns. It's not about how you feel, right? It's about actually executing robotically. So here we had a little flag, we broke down, and then as soon as we got here, boom, it was pretty clear it was going to happen. At least I thought it was clear. But you just never know. Like I thought it was clear the time before that. It wasn't. So here we go, and we pushed, and now we're up 50%, and I think I tweeted out there today that I would be trimming. I'm going to reevaluate the target for the newsletter tonight, and we'll go from there. So this just looks extremely impressive, and you're somewhat chasing it now, so you have to look for different entries, but this is what you call a high flag. So you see how we're here, and then we fall back into this range, and we just consolidate right above this. These can really go, and look at this. Look at how that became support, right? Bonk, bonk, right? That's support now. Triple tops don't exist. They do, but they don't. They're very rare. So this can really move. And I actually played this today, and just to kind of walk through a little bit of it. So this was pretty clear to me on a 15-minute. And then when it broke, this was a pretty clear entry into this, and nothing's changed on it. Now, I have the option of using this stop as the low of the day. I can use my cost as the low or as my stop. Or I can just, trade out up here, like a little bit of it if I wanted to, and then just move my stop to here. It depends on how conservative I am and what process that I want to use, right? Right now, I'm just sitting with it, but I'm up, and I think it'll go. But it needs to. So far, we've rejected. So that's it, but really start looking at different time frames. It really does make a difference. This is the hourly on it, and you can see what's going on here. Everybody's jumping when it gets to that 40, but we know that it's got to break. And so have a plan. Really think about having a plan before you enter anything. And we'll go from there. But any questions, message me. Thank you.